Okay, I'll create a method called using input boxes. I'll tell you what they are. Oh, I cannot have a space. Using input boxes, right? So input box is nothing but it's a kind of a message box only. In a message box, you just have OK, cancel kind of stuff. Whereas in an input box, I'll enter a value. Right? So let's say I'll define one variable as, so dim player name as string. Right? I'll say player name equal to, right? I'll say player name equal to input box. Input box is like a pop-up box. The prompt, what should be the value that should be there as a part of that input box? Okay, enter the sheet name or player name, whatever it is. Enter the player name. That is what I am saying as a part of the box, right? And probably the title. See, it is asking me for a prompt, comma title, comma this, all those stuff. So I can also say title, right? I have to say comma title is equal to, if I want to put a title to that box, or for that matter, let's ignore for time being. Please enter a player name. So in that you enter your player name. If that player name is found, right? So I'll say again, for each WS in sheets, just like the way we have used earlier. Next. Right? So inside this I'll write if WS dot name is equal to player name, which means that is existing. Okay, then we have to write it as if then. If the WS dot name equal to player name, then sheets player name dot select. You select that particular sheet. Else message box sheet no sheet exists with the name and probably with the name and space and player name. No sheet exists with this kind of a name. Let's see if this works. Then we'll do some kind of improvisation to this. So when I say okay, I have to define WS as worksheet. Dim WS as worksheet, right? Next without for. Oh, for if we did not put end if. If as a statement, if then else end if should be there. So it's asking enter the player name. So this is what is the message that will come where you have to enter here, right? And probably if you want, you can give a title to this here. This is what is the title part. Otherwise it is showing Microsoft Excel. Probably you can give one title to it saying player details or something to make your this thing look more attractive. Otherwise it's only the prompt that is required. What do you want? So here let's say if I display AB Agarkar. Okay, I'll give that. You say AB Agarkar. No sheet exists with the name AB Agarkar. Okay, I got it. Every time it is checking for all the sheets. See, whatever the name you are entering in the input box, we are saying that that is the name of the player. And we are saying for each sheet that is there in that sheet, if the name of the sheet player is existing at any point, you exit the for loop, which means you come out of this loop. So you come, you just select that player name and it is over. But if you are not able to trace, even after all that stuff, if you are not able to trace, right, after doing all these things also, if you are not able to trace, that is where you have to display an error message. So if that sheet name is, or let's first see if that player name is getting selected, then we'll look at the displaying of the error message part. End if without a block if. Okay, because yeah, enter the name of a player. Yeah, it has selected that sheet. So until that there is no problem, right? As long as it is fine, there is no issue. But let's say if that player does not exist, it is giving error. So because it's not able to select the player name, it is exiting for, right, it is exiting the for loop. If the error comes here we'll say on error, right, on error, go to ERR1. Go to is without a space. On error, I'll say go to ERR1. Where I will put ERR1 here, saying message box no player exists with the name space and player name, right? If it is an error only, I will go there, right? And here I will say go to finish. And finish is what I will put here, which means in case there is no error, it directly has to come here itself, right? In case there is an error, it comes to this location. In case there is no error, it will simply do a finish. Let's see now if it works. So it's more of debugging by writing your code, because you have to think through the business logic always. Okay, let's see now. No player exists with the name Tyagi. Fine, cool. Right, it is giving me a message that there is no player exists with that name. And if at all, if I am using it with full, it is pulling me that particular person's sheet. So here all we have used is we have used the errors possible, because there is an error. If something is not found, it's actually treated as an error. So that error has to show some kind of a message. So we have to show some kind of jumps. Right? If it is not found, at least, so if it is found, you directly exit from there and come to this location. Select the player name and directly go to finish. So it will bypass these two steps. So the message will not be displayed at all. Right? If it is present, if that player name is not present, then it is like an error here. So when I say sheets player name dot select, it cannot select it. So there is an error that is coming out. So because there is an error that is coming up, it will directly go into ERR1. It will display the message this one and then do a finish. Getting it? So it's just visualizing. I mean, it may take some time initially to visualize that logic. But if you are clear on what do I do manually, input box is another thing where on a dynamic way it can ask you to enter some data. You can assign that data to a variable, and based on that variable you can run the show. So sometimes, okay, you want a particular player's data in a sheet. You can ask, just display the name of the player. Which player's data do you want? Right? Which player's data do you want? A pop-up, an input box. You enter the name of the player, only that particular player's data will come out. Right? Just to add a little bit to it, I will do that. You say which player's data you want. We can instead of, see, it's just a replacement to this. See, we have done entering the list of all the players in this one, right? We have entered the list of all the players like this. If I want only for one guy at any point in time, I can very well maintain it as an input box. On the fly, okay, enter the name of the player. You just enter the name of the player, you will get the details of that person. It's again the same thing, but instead of going to this cell, this location dot select and all that stuff, you will on the fly you will enter the value, and for whatever the value you have entered, you will pull out the data for that party. Getting it?